how to be yourself and beat your biology. So biology gives you a brain. Life turns it into a mind, said Jeffrey Eugenides, the American author. So we were having lunch with some friends who were over here from the UK recently, when my friend's wife said to me, we went to this lovely beach, which was in a marine protected area, and found some lovely shells, and I'm taking them back to England. I thought to myself, you gotta be kidding. Taking shells, which is one of my pet hates, from a beach is one thing, but from a marine protected reserve? Are you stupid and unconscious? But what I said was, nothing. I justified myself by making a decision not to get into an argument or make a scene. I watched to see if my youngest reacted, which she didn't seem to, because I told her she couldn't remove shells from beaches. I felt like a fake. And afterwards I was furious with myself and spent way too long thinking about ways I could tell her without being a jerk about it. Postscript. It got worse before it got better. But I'll share the whole story with you on another occasion. It is a goodie. What happened? Why could I not just calmly and lovingly just call her on it, or say what I wanted to say, or just let it go? I mean, she probably would have been shocked that she hadn't joined the dots, and we would probably both have become better, bolder, wiser people. There might even have been some humor in that. So why do we human beings seem to operate so often from a place of fear, doubt, uncertainty, and scarcity, when we know so much is possible? Why do we find it so hard to just be? Be ourselves. Be free. Well, let's go back around 2 million years ago, when, as far as we know, the first humans, Homo sapiens, appeared on the African continent. Imagine this situation. You're on your own, in the middle of nowhere, let's say a forest or a plain, or walking along the coast. You've never met other people because in your early adolescence, your parents and siblings were killed by an earthquake. Life is only about one thing, and one thing only: survival. It's eat or be eaten, kill or be killed. You are always on the lookout for a saber-toothed tiger or a woolly mammoth. It's a lonely existence. You live from one day to the next, eating berries, insects, and drinking water. Perhaps you learn how to kill an animal for food. You are unaware of any other human being. One day, you come across another human being and your survival instincts kick in. You stare out each other from a distance. Inching closer, it may take hours. You come up close to each other. Tension fuels every fiber in your body, but you are driven, strangely, mysteriously, to connect. You grunt, sniff, and eventually touch, prodding and poking to test, can I trust this? It turns out that the other is a woman. One thing leads to another, and you mate and have children. Fast forward a few years, and you have a small community or a tribe. You start to learn about your fellow humans and their roles and characters. Women give birth, men hunt. That one is quiet, that one is loud. You learn that there are other ways of resolving arguments beyond killing or punching your opponent. You have the most important thing in your new tribe: safety. But you notice after a while that there are new problems arising. You don't like that your wife is flirting with a hot young hunter, or shall I say your woman. Or that your best friend isn't talking to you. You don't know why. Things get worse, and one day you decide that your tribe is not for you anymore. You want out. But where? do you go? It's deadly beyond the tribe, but at least it's safe in here. You suck it up and try and put aside your differences, or kill off the opposition, or form a new alliance. You decide safety is a better option, so you stick it out until you die. Does this sound familiar? Fast forward 2 million years to today, what's changed? Yes, if you're reading this, you've got cars and computers and supermarkets and planes and smartphones and accountants and therapists. But what has changed about us? Our needs, our behavior, our thought patterns. I wouldn't say nothing, but not much. Not fundamentally. Sure, there's been progress. We are more civilized and conscious and better at communication, most at least. But we are still driven by survival. We are still surviving the perceived or real sense of danger. Having a difficult conversation, speaking in public, making a stand for something that we care about, that you know will upset others, is the new domain of terror for us. It replaces the saber-toothed tiger, the woolly mammoth, and the tribal enemy. So whilst we think and we tell ourselves we live in a world of freedom, opportunity, love, and abundance, that we can do and be anything and that the sky's the limit, because it really is, our bodies, our biology often tell us a quite different story. Let me illustrate. Imagine you're driving through a red light and someone speeds through, imagine you're driving through a green light and someone speeds through a red light, narrowly missing you. What's your reaction? You see? It's right there, lurking behind every moment. The inner caveman. So what is our new survival strategy? Stay in the comfort zone. Don't risk ourselves. Binge on Netflix, eat pizza, and drink lots of beer, or some version of that you can relate to. And there's nothing wrong with watching a movie, having a beer, and eating some pizza every now and then, but the point is probably made. You can join the dots for yourself. And yet rationally, we know our lives are not at risk. That difficult conversation, that speaking in public, we're not going to die. So why do we fear so much? Because our brains are wired such that the new fears replace the old ones and appear just as terrifying. We are, at our core, driven by survival. Now, because we are built for survival, we want to make sure that we keep surviving so the brain cleverly, or not so cleverly as we're about to discover, remembers those occasions and informs us to watch out for those people, animals, or situations based on our past experiences. Well, this is all very well when we're dealing with scary animals that want to eat us. In the modern day, a car that is about to hit us or being followed down a dark alley by a hooded stranger, those are different issues. This is what I call appropriate fear. This kind of fear happens, in my life at least, very rarely, but it is appropriate to be fearful. See, rationally there's nothing to fear, or at least nothing life-threatening, which would be fine if we were rational, but we're not. If we were, there would be no wars, no debt, no divorce, a life that works. We'd simply communicate, listen, and apply compassion. This, shall we say, modern fear is what I call inappropriate fear. And it explains the acronym FEAR. False, expectations, appearing, real. So to nullify the situation and to make ourselves feel better, we have become story-making, meaning machines. We don't live in the facts. Just the facts, ma'am, as they say in the movies. We live in the story or the interpretation of the facts. And we justify to ourselves that we don't live our best lives because, well, we make up our own survival stories, buy into them and persuade others to do that as well, based on the evidence we present. And you know how good the brain is at finding excuses, reasons and justifications. I nearly asked her out on a date. If I'd been on another course, I would have been able to deliver a fantastic presentation. We don't say to friends, I was driving along last night and a car drove into me. The driver was drunk and I reported it to the police. How was your day? No, we start with, you won't believe what happened to me last night. This drunken idiot skipped a red light and smashed straight into me. This story making we do is our monkey mind in action that never stops chatting, chirping and jabbering away in our heads, doing everything it can to take us away from reality. Try this. Notice your reaction when I say, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Yes. See, rationally we know it's true and there's nothing much to say about that, but when we hear it, images and stories flood into our brains. Are we about to be hit by a comet? Have you heard the latest on social media? See, what I learned when I stood up and made that speech on the bus in Brixton all those years ago was that I was able to be in reality on a bus in Brixton rather than in my monkey mind, which always exists and is always there. It's not about getting rid of the monkey mind. See, I learned how to shut the door on the monkey mind, and I was able to do something that was, for me, remarkable and life-changing, something that totally reshaped my life. It is said that we are at war with reality at least 50% of the time. Can you see why? Isn't it time to live in the present moment, make peace with our past, and stride boldly into the future? But how, I ask yourself? Isn't that the million-dollar question? Well, if there was one answer, I would probably say awareness. See, when we can be aware, we get to make choices. If we're not aware, we are just reaction, survival machines. Do you want to know how to do this? Great! That's why I'm here. Drop me a line, give me a call, come on one of my Mojinars, reach out. What's the worst that I could do? That. I look forward to hearing from you. Drop me a line.